there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do with superheroes. This is for the week of October 29th, 2014. Jump into some books. Start right off with Rasputin, issue number 1. Picked up this book because I find Rasputin to be a very curious individual. Just the kind of the real history of the man and the mythical history of the man. And it's got Riley Rasmussen on art. So I thought, what the heck, give it a shot. It's a miniseries. Can't do too much damage to me. I sometimes am a bit gun-shy of the artist, because sometimes he'll get started on stuff and then get bored or whatever, and then decide that he doesn't want to finish it. And so either he finishes it sloppily or he leaves the book and then we get something else completely different. But this is a short miniseries, so I thought I'd give it a shot, see what it was like. So figured it can't be too much damage, right? And of course the art does not fail. Some wonderful art. This Rasputin's father fighting a bear with a with an axe is great in it. The wonderful opening scene of Rasputin at dinner, and this is at the dinner where he is poisoned. He drinks poisonous wine. So that's kind of where it starts out. You can see these kind of ghosty figures behind him. You know, clearly we're getting this story told from Rasputin's standpoint, and then it kind of flashes back and gives us, you know, like I said, the Siberia, you know, back in his childhood, where he came from, what his experiences were, and I'm assuming that will lead us up to this you know, moment that he has. I'm assuming we're going to get these bits and pieces and glimpses as they're killing him, because, you know, somewhat of a spoiler, I guess, at the end of this issue he is finishing off the glass of wine and making a toast, and he's clearly poisoned. He seems to know he's being poisoned. Rasputin, in reality, after he's poisoned, when they think they've got him dead, he's not dead. They stab him, they shoot him, and ultimately they throw him in in the river to drown him. And that's supposedly, if you believe Rasputin died there, that's where he died at. You know, so we're gonna get this tale of Rasputin, I think, this mythical tale of Rasputin, told in a very short span of time of his existence as he's remembering back, or we're getting this experience and whatnot. I'm not like wowed by it, but I do enjoy it. I think it's interesting. The art is really cool. There's some great, very quiet scenes that don't feel quiet, like this whole battle with this bear that happens. You know, there are no words. There's no dialogue there, but clearly, you know, the bear is roaring, the man is yelling. It's all exciting, great art and whatnot. And so I'm interested. I'll pick the whole thing up, like I said, because I think Rasputin is kind of an interesting individual anyway, and yeah, and the art is cool, so I think it's gonna be a cool read. So yeah, Rasputin, I'm digging it. Not like super great, but enjoyable. If you like Rasmo art, or you're interested in Rasputin at all, that sort of stuff, the Mad Monk, I think it's interesting and potentially worth picking up for those reasons. Next, let's talk Roche Limit issue number 2. Haven't gotten a chance to read a lot of other people's videos. Are you guys still getting this book? I know a lot of us picked up issue number 1. I don't know how many people carried over. Interesting issue. Lots of, you know, if I wanted to be mean, you could call it navel gazing at the very beginning of this, but I don't really think it is. You get the philosophy of this man who's called Moscow, who is kind of nuts, carries a samurai sword around with him. He seems to control a lot of the Roche Limit, the place, this artificial place that they're living inside of. He's attempting to you know, recreate this drug, so he doesn't have to have this guy around anymore who's one of our main characters. Would love to get rid of him, it seems, but right now won't until he gets the formula or figures out how to produce it himself. we find out a little more about the mystery, how this group of people is tied into these girls' disappearances. Our main character, Ford, we get to find out that he's a little more attached to this one girl that's disappeared in particular, the way he led on to in the first issue. All interesting stuff. I think the art is interesting. We also have this kind of curious story going on the surface of some place like Earth. Somebody has stole kind of an artifact. How that's going to play into thing. There's a potential cult, religious kind of experience thing potentially going on in it also, which is I think is interesting. There's some fairly cool back matter in this book. I appreciate when books do that kind of thing. This is Contra Blend, Total Recall, talking about the process that goes into and how the drug is produced, that this special recipe that one of the characters in here has that seems to be hotly after. Yeah, it's interesting. It's some kind of cool sci-fi, a little harder type of a sci-fi, a little more traditional, but enjoying it. It's cool. I can't remember how many issues this miniseries is, but I'm pretty sure I'll write it out. I like it because it's kind of in the vein of Blade Runner and that sort of thing, and I do enjoy that. Next up is Baltimore, The Wolf and the Apostle, #1 of 2. We get the wonderful Ben Steinbeck back on art. I really like his art, and of course the wonderful Dave Stewart doing the colors on it. This is a great story that I've been kind of excited to get back into. This picks back up where our Chief Inquisitor, we left off a Chief Inquisitor who, of course, the last time we read this, he clearly turned into a werewolf and had become the monsters that he was hunting, kind of a thing. Something that Baltimore has been pointing out for a very long time. And this issue sets up this scene that's in this desolate castle. Basically, the werewolf has left a wake of destruction, and pretty much the people he's really been destroying are all church-type figures and whatnot, obviously on a crusade to punish church, because obviously he's done all this work for the church, and his reward seems to be that he feels that God has cursed him. So he has lured all of these other inquisitors into this castle to basically do them all in. And is left at a kind of a apex of excitement around this chaos and violence, and I would assume probably our next issue, Baltimore's going to catch up to that, and maybe we'll see a final scene between these two adversaries. But like I said, wonderful artwork, great moody coloring. To match the grimness of what goes on here. Lots of beheadings, lots of gore, and of course the red and the blood is always very striking on these kind of muted grays and purple pages. So great stuff. Baltimore. Next up is a Vertigo Quarterly. Clearly this one is yellow, if you can figure that out. I've been kind of enjoying these stories. They haven't all been great. Some of them are kind of cool. This one, the first story, I thought was confusing. The second one was very amusing. Great art. I remember who does the art, and I would talk about that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Bond does the art in it. Gerald Way and Philip Bond. And I believe Gerald Way is the guy who wrote Umbrella Academy, I believe. That's a good story. Another story that I don't know that I completely understand, but I like it under the guise of weird and artistic. This person's riding a train. There's this cat person with an eye-drawn head. Some interesting art there. Just kind of crazy and whimsical in its approach. It's called End of the Line. Toril Orlowski is the person who does that. Nothing in here is like incredible, except for, I will also say that there's one here called the Cataract of the Yellow Lotus, at the very end of this. It's written by Benjamin Reed, but what I want to talk about is Christian Wildgoose and Jordan Boyd. Their artwork is fantastic. Falls under the category of kind of Mobius-esque, not in line work, but in the character and flavor of a lot of it, as it tells this mythical story of this great warrior who the Yellow Lotus is their kind of like foci or symbol, but the art in it is pretty amazing. I would love to see any book by these people, by these artists. I will be checking out again. And of course, there's a wonderful at the very end called The Magic Bag, and it's by Fabio Moon, and I love anything by Fabio Moon or Gabriel Bra. I don't care how whimsical, I don't care how nonsensical it is. Their stuff is just fabulous. These quarterlies as a whole haven't been all that great as far as anthology books. I enjoy anthology books, a simple, 5 to 10 pages of a story, it's done, and you move on to the next thing. So if it's a stinker, you don't, you're not spending that much time with it. And if it's cool, you read it and you go, oh man, that was awesome, and you kind of wish for more, and you hunt down those creators, right? Hopefully. But some of these, hopefully to see some of these creators in other places, it was good, but not anything I would tell anybody to rush out and buy. What I would tell people to rush out and buy is Low. It's probably one of my most favorite books. The art in it is beyond incredible. And the art is by Greg Tonini, Tocccchine, and he is the artist. I mean, he does the whole thing. It's all him. Colors, the works, and the stuff is just rich. I cannot explain it beyond it being rich. It is so gorgeous. There are animal people in this. The forms are incredible. The human forms that are drawn in here are incredible. They all have shape. They all have weight. There are the beautiful people in it, and there are the not so beautiful people in it. It has the whole thing. It's just amazing art that kind of toys potentially with the kind of heavy metal-esseness to it, and I say that for two reasons. One, because definitely they're some of the places they're at are kind of hedonistic type places, so they're they're scantily clad people, clearly having sex, doing drugs, being violent, all of that kind of stuff that all falls under the heavy metal stuff of my day and age anyway. And just the kind of sci-fi aspect, sci-fi fantasy aspect of it also. The story is just really, to me, is really interesting too. Just the level of what's going on, the playing with hope, the gambit of emotions that have to go with thinking you've lost something and then getting it back again, only to have it taken away from you again, is just incredibly brilliant in this. You think some amazing things have happened, and it all kind of blows up in your face. But the imagery alone is just absolutely amazing. I just, wow. I'm gonna do some hunting because I think that there's some more original art needs to be in my collection, and this is pretty high on the list because it's, like I said, pretty incredible. The Massive, issue number 28. 2 more issues left, and this entire run of 30 issues is done. I tweeted about this after I read it, that I'm trying to decide right now if this comic has jumped the shark. And if you don't know what jump the shark means, go Wikipedia it or Google it or whatever. And I'm just not sure. I mean, this comic started out as such a kind of grounded in a what-if reality of potential, and over the last couple issues has, to me, kind of verged off into somewhat crazy pants, where we're talking about immortal people who potentially goddess alien things that just seem so far removed from everything that we've experienced up until this point that it just feels strange. It feels like, was this really where the book was going to go from the first place? Because to me, this is just, I mean, there's been hints at like Mary being this special person and all, but I don't know, the stuff that goes on in here, I gotta find other people who read this book and talk to them about it, because I just am completely puzzled. The rest of my family is so far behind on reading this book that they're nowhere where I can talk with them about it. But it is just, I'm saying I'm enjoying it because as a whole I am, but there's just something in the back of my brain that's going, it's not real comfortable with where this has kind of gone to, and that's why I kind of did the jump the shark reference there. I just don't know. There's something about it that seems just a bit suspicious or something. I don't know. I'm worried this is not going to end well for me, that it's going to end and I'm going to go, are you kidding me? Because it just doesn't feel like the book that it was before. Artistically it does. The characters feel like it does. Just this one revelation that's happened in the last couple issues is just kind of, I don't know, it's bothering me. It's not setting well. Not setting well. But speaking of great comics, of course, this is Saga chapter 24. 2 years worth of the book. Still think it's absolutely great. We get more of the brand, and Sweet Boy is her sidekick. She finally catches up with Mandolin and Sophie after all these years. Yeah, for people who don't remember, she's the sister of the Will. We get some great interaction with them, and it all, you know, there's some very ugly people in this that, you know, things along the lines of threats of rape and that sort of thing. You're sensitive to that. Stay away from this comic, clearly. But greatly written, I think. The end of this is very exciting. Of course, it has this very, oh, wow, this is going to get great moment. And then you realize, oh, wow, we don't get another issue until January. So this is the next break. This is the next place where, of course, you know, they, you know, get caught back up again, which makes the book awesome. So I don't have a problem with that. But, man, January's a long ways off, it feels like. So excited for it. Excited to see what the next step is, because there are people teamed up now that I never imagined would be together. Not at all. So that's exciting for me. Excited to see how that plays out and what happens. Great book, great words, and of course Fiona Staples knocks out of the park continuously with her artwork, and yeah, great stuff as always. Saga, awesome. Southern Bastards. I had to go to the store and buy this one because I had dropped this. But clearly after the last Southern Bastards that I read, that I thought was so crack my head open amazing, need to go back and get it. It's back on my pull, but of course I missed an issue in between the way I order my comics. So this issue we kind of start getting the backstory of Boss. And I think what they're trying to do is I think they're trying to get us to sympathize with Boss, show us how bad potentially his life was as a youth, to make us understand why he is the asshole that he is now, why he is the bastard that he is. And, you know, I don't, at this point, don't think there's any amount of, boy, this bad stuff happened to him in his childhood, that would still make me like the dude. He is ugly, ugly person, inside and out. And but really intriguing just how much of a throttle hold this man has in this town where all this stuff happens in. I'm not sure how much we're going to get of this arc of it being about Boss. There's some other characters that were kind of flirted with in the last issue. I'm excited to see if they come forward at some point. That'll be cool. I am enjoying it. I'm curious to see what goes on with Boss, to see his history and all that stuff, but if they're trying to get me to go, oh yeah, that's why he's the way he is, ain't gonna happen. You know, I mean, you can say that, but that's not gonna make me sympathize with the guy. The guy's still an ugly bastard. I can't imagine what they're gonna show me, but good stuff. Another recommender book, Black Science. Of course, Matteo Scalera on pencils, and the amazing Dean White doing his color paint work, which of course is what makes the book, I think. The pencils are great to set it up, but I think it's the coloring, most of us will agree, is what makes the thing pop and gives us these incredible visuals that we all love so much. Interesting story. I'm enjoying the story and where the story's going. We get some more flirts with some other Grants, and that's all, you know, interesting to see how that's all going to play out. The book is verging off into areas I really wasn't thinking it was going to go. I kind of had, when I read the solicitations, got all excited about the book, kind of had set in my head what I thought it was going to be. It's not quite that, but still very excited to see what those things are going to be. I think it could be, we got some more really interesting stuff going on here. I've decided I'm not big fans of the children. And this issue is very focused on those children and their plight or whatever. You know, their position, their thoughts, their feelings. I understand why they are the way they are and what their feelings are. And of course, this helps cement that for us. I'm just not interested in that part of it so much, I guess. But yeah, still, you know, a strong story. Still really enjoying it. It maybe doesn't have quite the sparkle the first 6 or so issues did, but still something I quite greatly enjoy reading every single time. And finally, for this time around, Bunker issue number 7. Still really great art. This one focuses mostly on... oh, give me a second to remember her name. Heidi. Focuses mostly on Heidi and what she's doing with the information that she's been given. She's been given some pretty pertinent information on some people who do some incredibly horrible stuff to her. So this bounces back and forth between our time Heidi and Heidi from the future, and how both of them are playing out what they do. And we get the distinct impression that Heidi does something pretty either illegal or despicable or something somewhere along the way, or something gets pinned on her that she's that way in her future self, because her future self is being hunted. She's having to kind of hide. She goes to some of her friends in the future. Some of those friends are more friendly than others. Still, I think, really interesting. Slowly told, though. There's not a lot of story gets told in this, but it gets told very well. This, I don't know, pencil type style type artwork and coloring that is done, I really enjoy. It's very moody. It really sets an energy and a feel to the book. So I'm really enjoying it for that. Probably if this book wasn't an Oni Press book and probably has a relatively small print run, I would probably hold out and read these things in trade. The first trade is out, because I think it would be very consumable that way and enjoyable long-term that way also. Not that I'm not liking it in singles, but I think it's probably a stronger read if you can read a whole bunch at once, because like I said, not a lot of story happens in this issue, but I like what I read. The 2 parts that are going on are both really interesting. I'm interested in pretty much all of these people. They all seem pretty much like how real people would act, so you're getting all these struggles. In this one, she's given information to hunt down a guy who sexually molested her when she was quite young, and she's been given some more information about some of the stuff that he does, or potentially does in the future, and she's going to go and take care of that, or thinks she's going to go and take care of it. So that's interesting to see how she deals with that, and like I said, interesting to see what's going on with her and her friends in the future version of what's going on with Heidi. So, yeah, amazing art. I just love this style of art. It really fits for this book. It gives it its own sense of presence and whatnot. And I'm always curious to see what the next issue is going to be and what the next dark secret that's going to get layered from Bunker. So great stuff, great books. This is probably one of the weeks. I mean, as far as independent books go, with things like Low, Black Science, and Saga all coming down on the same week. Just pretty incredible week of comics. What'd you guys all think? Great stuff. Am I way off base on something here? Clearly something else I should be reading that I'm not reading. What's going on with you guys in independent books? Anyway, catch you all next week for some more great books, I'm sure. Bye.